Hola, this is Pacho with the weekly Pele report for October 5th. Astrology for the soul. The weatherman of the stars here. 2022. And there's so much going on. Oh my word. And it is definitely mirrored in the stars. Let's face it, we have Neptune opposite Mercury in a T-square with Mars down there in Gemini. Basically going on from, I would say, September 29th till October 11th. So, we're still in this. I'm going to be talking about it today. I will say that as the Sun and Venus move up through Libra, they are going to come into a nice trine with Mars and Saturn. But that's pretty much, I'm going to say that's in effect from October 8th until the 18th, maybe 10 days, coming on there. So chaos will be replaced with a little more stability is what I'm saying. But I'll talk about that in the, later. Moon's in Aquarius right now. Tomorrow goes into Pisces. By Saturday, she pops over there into Aries, and we have a very powerful full moon conjunct Chiron. You can see it in the chart that I put at the beginning. And because it's the Sun conjunct Venus in opposite a moon Chiron. So it's not just a full moon, even though I hate to say just. I mean, a full moon is a powerful thing no matter what. But so that is going on. The Sun is exactly conjunct opposite Chiron on Friday. Okay. And then, like I say, by next Tuesday, moves into a trine with Saturn. Mercury, in the meantime, has gone direct, but it's still moving doggone slow. It's still in that T-square, as long as it's in the 20-degree range. It's, going to be opposite Neptune and square to Mars. It's moving on. It does trine Pluto. That's nice. Tomorrow on Thursday. And then moves on, right, until finally, it's gonna pop into Libra on Monday, next Monday. So that's gonna be really, when I say the, that T-square is over, is when Mercury moves into Libra. In the meantime, what else is going on? Venus is also exactly opposite Chiron on Monday. And, we've got that full moon happening. The moon is exactly conjunct Chiron on Sunday and opposes the Sun and Venus. Yeah. And last but not least, Pluto. Stop. Pluto is going direct. Finally, after 6 months or so. And we're going to see a big change. If you think things are really happening now, oh, por Dios. Pluto is going to go direct. Next month, Saturn's going to go direct. Okay, December, Jupiter is going to go direct. No, Jupiter next month in November. And then Neptune in December. And then, Jupiter and Chiron, it's like, when these planets, they've all been retrograde for some time, redo, rethink, remodel, readjust, they're going to be going direct, and we're going to start seeing some results of what's been going on earlier in this year, particularly March. Anyway. This is my old stomping grounds. I used to live right over here. And let me just find a spot and talk at you. All right, everybody. Well, after what's been going on this week, where I feel like I'm traveling at the speed of lightning, I said, you know what? I want a calm, still pond or lake or something. I don't feel like going down to the river with the rushing water past me. I wanted a cool, calm location for this week's Pele report. So I come back here because I remember this pond, and what I didn't really remember was how loud the freeway is. I mean, the freeway is right on the other side of the pond, man. I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it. And boom, 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 boom. I mean, if it's not rushing water, it's rushing trucks and cars. Life is rushing. Whoosh! You feeling that? Mercury square Mars. Yeah, I mean, whenever these two guys get, you know, charged up, you know. And then, of course, you know, that Sun Venus opposite Jupiter is still going on a little bit too. So Jupiter, you know, coming back, you know, to early degrees of Aries, it's going to go back into Pisces. Jupiter is a lot, Pisces is chaos, but that's later. I can talk about that later. I've got so much to talk about today. Wow. I want to devote today's Pele report to Gigi Young. And there is a link to her discussion of the 8th sphere down below in the notes below the YouTube. You might have to click on show more. Please don't ask me where the links are. I get these comments, you know, where are the links? I mean, yeah, so a very powerful, she's very familiar with Rudolf Steiner. She is a, you know, clairvoyant, psychic, seer. Amazing. And yeah, she talks about some very unpleasant things, because I have been talking about some unpleasant things. You know, in my last report, I ruffled some feathers. In my last newsletter, which I went even deeper than the report, into the nature of this jab and how it is affecting our blood system. And Gigi talks a little bit about this, particularly at the end. Stay to the end. It's the end of that video that is particularly where she really ties it in a lot more to what's going on right now. And, you know, we have a situation. It's very interesting. You know, Aquarius deals with the oxygenation of the blood. And Saturn, you know, in Aquarius is constricted and restricted and limited and blah, blah, blah. You know, and it's, you know, in Aquarius now until March. It has been there for, you know, since December of 2020. So yeah, it's all in the stars, as above, so below. But we really want to look at. And the 8th sphere looks at the shadow side of life, the dark side of life, and yeah, and it pertains a lot to what is going on now, which also pertains to what Rudolf Steiner referred to as, you know, the incarnation of Ahriman, that I have also spoken about in previous reports. And at the same time, here is what I'm just kind of piecing some things together. I've had a renewed interest in anthroposophy after a few years of, you know, it kind of being dormant there for a while. I am now, you know, going back into some of Steiner's teachings. And he also speaks, okay, of the, you know, the return, yes, of Christ. And we don't want to confuse this with some of the versions that Christianity has put upon us, because Steiner talks about the return of Christ. Even in the Bible it says in the clouds, which refers to the etheric realms. And so this is, Christ consciousness returning in the etheric. And I find it very correlating to Chiron. Chiron also is another almost Christ-like figure that descended into the underworld, right, and resurrected, and was discovered in 1977 and has been referred to as Christ consciousness. And here we have a full moon conjunct Chiron coming up. So this is just kind of bringing up, some themes that I would like to, share with you today. The wounded healer, Christ consciousness, the return of Christ in the etheric. And there's just like so many parallels, okay, to this Christ coming in the etheric as the light, and Ahriman raising up, from the dark. And we have this, I love it, I think it's the 16th or 17th degree of Taurus, the Sabian symbol, the eternal battle between swords and torches. But yeah, I know that I have often spoken about this, merging and uniting, okay, the light and the dark as above and below, and the spiritual with the material. And, of course, we are that. We're spiritual beings inhabiting a third-dimensional material physical body. I mean, that's a given. And in addition to that, there are forces of darkness and forces of light. And what I would like to say is forces of darkness and powers of light. Because power is different than force, and power has more, of a, an intelligence and an intention and, a dynamic, okay, behind the movement of energy. And in the past, you always used to speak of powers, spiritual powers. Now we're just dealing with, mechanical material forces. I spoke about that in a previous Pele report. I don't want to go into it again fully now. But what I do want to, really address here is the moon, and particularly Martin Lass in his Chiron book speaks of the moon in not so nice terms or ways, as the subconscious forces within us. The sun is the conscious, and the moon is the subconscious, and these subconscious, forces, okay, combined with Chiron, our wounds, that when we attend to our wounds and we heal our wounds, we become medicine men and medicine women. But unattended wounds, okay, denied, ignored, or put off wounds fester, okay, and get infected. And then the moon with our subconscious forces. What I'm saying is, like, this full moon can bring up, okay, a lot of your fears. And I brought up some fears in my last Pele report. And I need to address fear a little bit. I mean, let's look at fears. We don't get rid of fears. We have fears, okay? Whether it's mainstream media or a Pele report or, Ahriman himself, outside entities can trigger our fears, can, scare us, can raise our fears. And we need to look at these fears. We need to look at the origins of these fears, at the roots of our fears. And some of these are how can I say, necessary and essential. Yes, with no fear, we would jump off cliffs and drive 500 miles an hour and drink 10 bottles of tequila. I mean, there is a certain degree of fear. Like I said, it's the ego's job. The fear of death is the root of all fear, and it does keep us alive. And then there are other fears. Right, and these other fears are inherited fears, and a big one is fear of the unknown. Yeah, but there's also a healthy fear of the dark, of the demonic forces, of like evil, and these are this. We want to be moving towards the light. We want to be moving towards Christ consciousness. We want to be healing and opening our hearts and purifying our blood and keeping, our energy field, whether it's electromagnetic. This is why we do Kundalini Yoga. Keep that electric magnetic field of the heart space very solid and very strong. Again, Gigi talks about this. Yes, we need to really stay during these times very strong. So what I'm saying is, we don't get rid of fear. Courage is acting in the face of fear. Yeah, I might have said that last week, right? So this is a time that we are entering, and it's not the end. The interesting thing is, I think there's a lot of biblical prophecies where they go, the second coming of Christ, he's gonna reappear, and poof, that's gonna be Judgment Day and it's all over. It's like, I don't think so. We have the opportunity now, as Christ comes in the etheric realms, to expand our consciousness into Christ consciousness. But we are going to be going through this Ahrimanic time period now, and life is going to go on past the incarnation of Ahriman and past the return of Christ in the etheric, and we're going to continue on past this. This is my take on it, and and what does that look like? Well, this is what it looks like. It's a challenge. It's a drag. I'll tell you what, these dark forces, in the form of, whether you call it, Bill Gates and his billionaire buddies, or, all of the mother weffers, whatever you want to look at it as, there is this, the Wetico, Matthias Desmond, really talks about this, mass formation. What we are dealing with is this, it's like a takeover. And whether it's a totalitarian government or it's, surveillance and CDBDCs or whatever, the currency, limited travel and passport and snatching your bank accounts and blah, blah, blah. We have to understand that, for this whole great reset thing, that, the plan is, from my perspective and my point of view, to destroy. The economy needs to be destroyed. Our world needs to be destroyed. We need to be scared out of our wits. And this may even occur within the next 6 months, mark my prophecy here, we will have the incarnation of we will have someone step forward. And within the midst of the rebel and the rubble and the destruction, someone will be stepping forward. A false prophet, an Ahrimanic force, individual, that will want to be worshipped and will have answers and will be appear as a genius and will really come through with blah blah this quack quack. This is what I see happening with all of the, everything that I am tapping into. Yeah. And what Steiner talks about, and he talked about 100 years ago, is that number one, we have to go through this. There's no way around it. But secondly, and the most importantly, is we have to go through it consciously. We have to, really be aware and be awake. So I don't want to scare you. Gigi doesn't want to scare you with this 8th sphere. Okay, and the demons and the darkness and the charlatans and the deceit and the desire to electrify our entire planet and step in, okay, with all kinds of batteries and electricity and drones and AI and everything, blah, 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 you name it. This is this is the, I mean, she says it better than me, but I don't want to scare you, and I'd like you to not think that, I'm being judgmental, or I'm throwing this, that, or the other thing out the window, because it is scary, and we need to be conscious of it, and we need to go through it. This is what the mantra is for today. And this is what the song is for today. It's by The Who. We won't get fooled again. Or we don't get fooled again. It's been so long since I heard it. I forget the name, if it's don't or won't. But we don't get fooled again. Yeah. Anyway, a little rock and roll there, okay? Do not be fooled. And part of it is, don't be fooled into thinking that this is the end and it's all over and you should just freak out and bow down and crumble. Okay, I mean, don't freak out about that, and don't freak out about the 8th sphere and the demons and the dark forces. Okay, I mean, it's like, no, move towards the light, move towards the Christ consciousness, raise up. I mean, we are in, I hate to think of battle, okay, but, I think of the old days. They burned down the Goetheanum. Rudolf Steiner, was, he talked against the mainstream media 100 years ago, okay, and he was a very controversial figure, and they burned down his masterpiece of a building, the center of anthroposophy, the original, and they had to rebuild it out of concrete. Nothing like the original, I should add. Anyway, yeah. So this is what I want to be bringing forward here. I want to be bringing forward that there is a lot of deceit, and whether we talk about the Ukraine. And it's very interesting, even Putin's last speech talking about the satanic forces of the West. And Gigi talking about, and I've also spoken about how, the United States is almost like Atlantis reincarnated, with a lot of the same characters that destroyed this place the last time, coming back to try to flex their muscles again. This is, and they are incarnate and discarnate souls. And it's, so make no doubt about it, okay? We are in what others would call the end times, but I'm just going to call the turning of the ages, the birth of a new paradigm, and this can be a painful birth, right? The Bible talks about the dragon, waiting for the birth of the child. It wants to grab it and take it away. And this is just like, there's so many prophecies, so many clairvoyants have seen all of this coming, so many religions, so many, blah, 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 blah. I mean, yeah, just like, what we want to understand is the gravity of the situation. And that it's not just about inflation, okay, or that we can pass this legislation and stop this, or that I mean, if anything, we're passing legislation to make it happen, and the government of the United States has been overtaken by these dark forces. I mean, just look at it. It's very clear, it's very obvious, not just the government, okay, the corporations, the feds. I mean, there's yeah, this is big, and it's a wide network, and we don't want to cave, we don't want to falter, we want to be strong within ourselves. And this brings me to the Sabian symbol for the degree, okay, of this full moon. And I agree with everything that Dane Rudhyar says about this degree, except I'm going to have to disagree with Dane Rudhyar. Oh my God! Yeah. The last sentence, I don't go for. But let's look at the rest of it. This is the Sabian symbol for the 17th degree, because the full moon is at 1633. That is the 17th degree of Aries. And Mark Edmund Jones says 2 prim spinsters. Yeah. Dane Rudhyar changes that to say 2 dignified spinsters sitting in silence. The ability to transform a natural lack of potency into poise and inner security. Oh, serenity, I'm sorry. Just what we all need right now, inner serenity. And of course, a little inner security would also help. Here we have a symbol which contrasts with the preceding one. In our culture, the spinster, in quotes, represents the woman who has been unable to meet or accept the vitalizing power of love and organic fulfillment through biological polarization. Yet, the symbol depicts 2 spinsters, emphasizing that refusing the natural expression of bipolar love has produced a special kind of dualism of experience. The 2 women are silent because this dualism has a narcissistic inner character. Life has turned inward, seeing itself in a self-created mirroring. We have here the result of a negative inward approach to potency. The ascetic or saint also turns inward, but he accepts a higher, non-biological type of polarization, man and God. Just as the activity of nature has a compulsive character, so the resistance of the spinster to biological fulfillment is also compulsive. And that's what I take issue with. Yeah, the value of dignified inward withdrawal. But knowing a few women now who have consciously chosen celibacy, okay, as a choice towards awakening and really stepping into the light and their truth and the power. I'm going to disagree with Dane, where he says that the spinster has a compulsive, the resistance of the spinster to biological fulfillment is also compulsive? I don't think so. I don't think it is compulsive. I think it can be extremely conscious, which is almost the opposite of compulsive. But what I really want to point to here is, and Gigi also points to it at the end of, her video. Yes, the sacral chakra, and this fulfilling of what is to be a spiritual experience. Ahriman and the dark forces that are happening right now want humanity to, instead of having what should be a spiritual experience, they want a meta, a virtual reality experience. Like we are going to somehow realize ourselves or awaken, right? Through computers and artificial intelligence and and this metaverse bullshit. Yeah. So we want to be like, okay, we are really being teased, and we are really being lied to, and we are really being, taken into this whole Wizard of Oz, kind of like, false gods and false realities. And we need to shun. We need to become inwardly directed and find our spiritual path and that Christ consciousness within ourselves. And it's possible, it's doable, and with the sun and Venus shining their light on the wound and the subconscious lunar forces, this can be a very powerful weekend of awakening. Yeah, baby. And simultaneously coexisting dualistic polarities. It will also be a time of, oh my God, a whole bunch of people freaking out. You see what I'm saying, man? So, yeah, that's all I think I need to say. Here's the mantra for this week. Just kind of, be with it, repeat it. I will not be fooled into thinking that this is somehow the end. Give up my power and follow in fear when I'd rather gather with friends. Yeah. Oh, one last thing I have to point out. Gather with friends is very intentional. Where two or more are gathered, Christ's light comes. Make no mistake. There is also this whole, don't gather, don't get together, social distancing, stand apart, wear your muzzle and don't talk to other people. This is deliberate, and it is to be consciously resisted. I want to encourage you, gather in groups. I just wrote the Astrology of Money. There's a whole nother, I'm doing a whole workshop on the Astrology of Money, but I'm also doing the Astrology of Relationships in Costa Rica this December. Come on down, right? There is a need for us, okay, to gather together with friends, with like-minded souls that are, seeking and building this inner connection to Christ consciousness, and not being in states of fear, suppressed, driven, locked down or whatever by, these other entities. Let's put it that way. You know what I'm saying? So one more time. I will not be fooled into thinking that this is somehow the end. Give up my power and follow in fear when I'd rather gather with friends. Namaste, aloha, so much love.